Right, Chelsea Football Club make it into the quarter-finals of the FIFA Club World Cup after a bizarre game that was actually interrupted by extreme weather conditions. Clearly, these American lads have never heard of a cold Tuesday night in Stoke. And although we will be getting into the match, spoiler alert, it is now the Estival derby in the quarterfinals, because we will of course be coming up against Palmeiras, which means we will of course be coming up against their star man Estival, who is our star man, who in my opinion technically shouldn't even be playing against us. But don't worry about all that, let's speak about last night's game. But just quickly before we get into all that, people, welcome back to the Joey Knight podcast. If you are new around here, please do me a massive favour, subscribe to the channel. About 50% of you guys that are watching my videos on a regular basis aren't subscribed. Don't worry, I do forgive you. Just make sure that you do it now and hit a like button on this video if you want Chelsea to go all the way and win this summer's Club World Cup. Let's get into the video. Right, so there is only one place to start, and that is with the starting lineup that Enzo Maresca went with. On screen now, you can see it. We've got Robert Sanchez in goal, Reece James right back. This is what confused me somewhat, and I will show you the shape that it actually more played out in, especially later on in the game and when we were in possession. But just for now, this is what confused me a little bit. 3 left footers along that back line. Benoit Badiashile was the man tasked with being paired with Levi Colwell and Cucurella. Personally, for me, I would have gone with Trevor Chalobah, Tosin Adarabioyo, one of those guys. Little bit confusing for me, that one, but who knows? It's up to Enzo Maresca, I suppose. Now, there was a level of experimentation with this starting lineup, because we saw Romeo Lavia and Caicedo with Enzo Fernandez being played slightly further forward. Pedro Neto on that right-hand side, that's the man that I really do want to be seeing on that right-hand side more often than not. However, as we get into the video, we're going to explain and discuss the implications of having Pedro Neto there and possibly not having someone else there who may now need to be shoehorned in to that position. We went with Cole Palmer on the left wing, a position that we haven't really seen him play at all for Chelsea Football Club. I think I've seen him have one game there, maybe against Burnley or off the bench against Nottingham Forest under Pochettino, I'm not too sure. Liam Delap through the middle. However, on screen right now is actually how the lineup looked to me. This is how it played out, a lot more so, in my opinion, with us moving to that back three. Obviously, Cucurella inverting. He was really, really getting up there. He was probably getting up there the highest out of anyone, almost like a winger. Pedro Neto, that's why he's so important in being there, because then he can offer protection to the likes of Reece James. And then with Cole Palmer and Enzo Fernandez, I would say they were both about as far forward as each other, both sort of playing those inverted 10 roles. It was almost a homage back to the system that Enzo Maresca used to play at Leicester City. Now, let's get into the game itself. First half, little bit somewhat boring, you might say, but Chelsea were in full control in that first half. Like, I honestly thought that Benfica would do a lot more than they actually did. I thought that Otamendi and I thought that Silva both used their physicality very well. They kept Liam Delap quiet, and I thought that they did well to put their body on the line, get in front of the ball, do the things that they, and especially Otamendi in mind, do the things that he's actually good at, rather than trying to do things that, you know, just stylistically aren't going to be as good for his game. They did the simple things, they made them work, and they were able to stop Chelsea from opening the scoring, even though, in my opinion, we were the more dominant side. However, 64 minutes in, we would get a chance to see whether or not Liam Delap was able to overcome that physicality of a Otamendi or a Silva at the back, or whether any of our bigger boys were able to get their head on the end of something, because there was a free kick given, and it was obviously one that was going to be whipped in by Reece James. He does whip it in, but Reece whips it in to the bottom left-hand corner. A beauty of a free kick. A third free kick goal of the season, that is, I believe, for Reece James. You had the one against Bournemouth, you had the one for England, and then I believe this one. So the third free kick goal of the season by Reece James. A real captain's goal, stepping up and creating something that, one, didn't look like it was on the cards in terms of a shot being what was delivered from that free kick rather than a ball into the box, and two, pulling something out the bag when things aren't really going your way, because sometimes you need a moment of magic to happen and then we really start to go through the gears, and that's what we did there. So real credit from Reece James. Pure technique with that one. With Reece, he had a great game, didn't he? Like, so solid through the game. I'm going to absolutely butcher his name, but well, how do you even say this fella's name? Skelrup. I don't know. It's the fella that scored against Bayern. The kid that scored against Bayern, the left winger. I thought that Reece might have a bit of a task on his hands, keeping him quiet, but keeping him quiet is exactly what Reece does. He does it to way better players than him, and therefore putting the best right back in world football on that young kid meant that he didn't get a sniffing all night long, really. We were comfortable until the 86th minute, and that is when the game gets called off for extreme weather conditions. Now, personally, right, I cannot get my head around the fact that a game can be suspended for 2 hours, longer than a game is set to play for, and then you're supposed to get back on with it. Like, oh, I don't know. I've had my frustrations with this Club World Cup so far. Look, some of the things I believe are a little bit cringy, a little bit cliche. I think that those are the things that I can completely get over. The standard of refereeing, I think, has been poor. And then the whole Storm thing, just like, what? You know what I mean? Like, honestly, I don't know. When I was younger, there was never a game that was called off for bad weather conditions. You start to see it a little bit more in the UK now. Obviously, the climate in Charlotte, I believe it was, North Carolina, is a climate that I know nothing about. So I'm not going to comment on it too much. It could have been like thunderstorms and something, and just too risky to play. So either way, it's not so much the frustration that, look, health and safety is at the forefront of everyone's mind. It's the most important thing. But I always knew that the writing was on the wall when that happened, because I thought, well, I know what's going to happen. We're going to come back out and we're going to concede a goal, even though it would be completely against the run of play. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happens. But just quickly, do you need a little freshen up this summer? Well, Manscaped have got you covered with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, and they now stock it in a lovely white hot colour. This trimmer is trusted by over 12 million men worldwide, now with a clean white and gold finish that looks just as smooth as it shaves. And if you want 15% off your entire order, make sure you use code JOEYKNIGHT at manscaped.com. Now, part of my popularity with the ladies is the fact that I always keep the downstairs region looking sharp. I get compliments about this on a daily basis, and that is all down to the Lawnmower 5.0. Now, no one enjoys accidentally cutting your bollocks when you're trying to trim it up down there, and that is why Manscaped's skin-safe technology was developed to help you groom with more confidence and fewer mishaps. These blades are designed to glide over the skin with less tug and pull, helping you avoid the redness and the irritation that comes with some of those pesky lower quality trimmers. So whether you're using it in the shower, on the go, or just standing over the sink before a night out, the White Hot 5.0 Ultra fits into your day without getting in the way. And you won't be hiding this one in the bottom drawer, because with the white and gold design, this is a beauty. So get the best trim in the game using the white hot colour today. The only guys that I would trust with my lower region in Manscaped. There is a link in the description to this video to the Manscaped website. Remember, my code Joey Knight gets you 15% off. Big thanks once again to Manscaped for supporting the channel. As always, let's get back into the video. Malagusto, a man that has been under probably immense criticism, really, in comparison to what he's felt from the fan base in terms of his time so far at Chelsea Football Club, because he's been a fan favourite. He gives away a penalty as a handball. He wasn't even looking at the ball. I'm going to give him a pass on that one. Didn't really think it was his fault, although Angel Di Maria, a player that I did pick out in my pre-match preview, slots the penalty home past Robert Sanchez. That takes the tie to extra time. I'm feeling very hard done by at this point, because I'm thinking, for fuck's sake, I've waited up another 2 hours when I want to go to sleep, and I thought Chelsea were winning this game, and now we've got to go into extra time. But I'll tell you what, I didn't have anything to worry about, to be honest, because we were absolutely dominant in extra time. And what a lot of people will say is, they'll go, oh, well, you know, of course you were dominant. You were playing with 11 men and they were down to 10 men. And, oh, what, did the referee just come over and give him a red card for no reason, did he? Is that what he did? Did he go, do you know what? I'm going to give Chelsea the numeric advantage here. No, he didn't do that. You got a player sent off. So when you get a player sent off, you can't moan about it, yeah? Same way I didn't moan about losing to Newcastle because Jackson got sent off. So when you get a player sent off, you can't moan about it. They got their player sent off. It was the correct decision, by the way. Second yellow card, sending off. And then, in the space of about 10 minutes, Chelsea run riot, right? 10 minutes of madness, starting off in the 108th minute. Caicedo intercepts it. He moves it straight on to Palmer, and Caicedo continues his run with Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer has Nkunku one side, Caicedo the other side. Cole Palmer's running through on goal, and here's where he moves it on to Caicedo. Now, the more natural move on would have been to Nkunku. It might have been a little bit of a harder pass to make, but with Cole Palmer's passing range and ability, you would fancy him to be able to get it to the feet of Nkunku. But perhaps Cole Palmer's thinking, well, that's the more obvious one, so that's where they're going to go. There's going to be more space for Caicedo to have a shot. He did have a shot. He drills it low and hard at the keeper. The keeper saves it. Now, here's where I've got to give credit where credit is due, because Nkunku did well to get that ball out of his feet and to convert it past the goalkeeper. At first, it takes a bobble. Then Nkunku has to turn around on himself, and then he blasts it into the roof of the net. 10 out of 10 for effort, and I'm not going to fault Nkunku. I have before in the past, but I thought he did really, really well there. And you'll go on to see, I think he did really, really well again. Now, it is Caicedo involved again a few minutes later. This time, Caicedo actually grabs the assist, but it's Cucurella who, as we've seen time in, time out, does the dirty work, runs across from left back into midfield, intercepts the ball straight away. It bounces on to Caicedo. Caicedo slots that ball through onto Pedro Neto, the best right winger in the tournament. Scrap that, the best right winger in world football. I don't think anyone with a brain in their head would really realistically argue with that one. How could he not be? He opens up his body, he blasts it past the keeper. And I tell you what, they've got a very good goalkeeper, Benfica, but he couldn't stop it. You know, you can stop Bayern scoring, you can stop Harry Kane scoring, and Elise and everyone else, but you can't stop Chelsea. You cannot stop Chelsea. You cannot stop Pedro Neto. And I tell you who else you can't stop? Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, my friend, because the last goal was another beauty. Another substitute in Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall being helped out by another substitute in Christopher Nkunku, because it's actually Nkunku that makes the run up the right wing, takes a man with him, and all of a sudden that passing range I told you about from Cole Palmer is able to be utilised. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, so clever in holding his run and going through the middle, a position and a run and maybe a passage of play that he's not all the most comfortable with or used to, but he still makes the most out of it. Goes through the middle, scores the goal. Another great contribution. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall doing really, really well there. And that caps it off 4-1 in a game that was supposed to be a huge, huge test, but a game that ultimately we dominated. And that there is enough to show me against that Benfica side who beat Bayern Munich, against that Benfica side who finished second in their league last season, and against the Benfica side who have some good players, World Cup winners involved in their squad. That's enough to show me that Chelsea are going to be competitive not only in this competition, but in the Champions League next season. And honestly, right, now coming up in the semi-final in what I would say is a favourable draw as opposed to what we could have come up against. The quarterfinal. In the quarterfinal, right? Look, I'm going to take one match at a time. I'm not saying we're in the semi-final, but we've got a very, very good chance of getting there. And then once you're there, you're one match away from the final. Once you're in your final, you're one match, goal, whatever away from winning it. So, who knows? But I tell you what, I said that Chelsea were going to do well at the start of this tournament, and so far we have. We haven't even really got out of second gear. But there is a huge problem that we'll speak about. We will speak about that. But what we've got to speak about just before we do that is the contribution from the substitutes off the bench. I thought it was really, really good. I think that even when you look at Nkunku, he's a man that I've given quite a lot of stick to, but actually maybe it's a case of putting himself in the shop window, but I tell you what, if it benefits Chelsea in the meantime of you doing that, I'm very much happy for you to do that. Put yourself in that shop window. Now, Cole Palmer on the left wing. What did we think, ladies and gentlemen? I thought it was a bit of a mixed bag. I thought for 90 minutes, not really feeling it. But I'll tell you what, in extra time, fuck me, turned it on and he came up trumps. Now, do you know what it is, yeah? Really, really weird that we saw him on the left wing. And am I putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5? Or am I the one that's cracked the code here? Because I saw yesterday a report that apparently Esteval has come out and said that he wants to play as the number 10 for Chelsea Football Club, right? Now, if he plays as the number 10, and if you don't play Cole Palmer as the number 10, then I think you've got to play Cole Palmer as the left winger. And I'll tell you why I think this, right? Unless you change the system completely. I'll tell you why I think this. Because Cole Palmer played really well on the right wing, but what we refuse to acknowledge sometimes is that one of the reasons Cole Palmer played so well on the right wing, and this sounds crazy because I'm about to name probably the best player in our team on his day in Reece James, right? One of the reasons Cole Palmer was so good on the right wing under Pochettino is because Reece James wasn't there. Malo Gusto was there. Malo Gusto was playing week in, week out as our right back. And therefore you had the legs up and down, up and down, up and down. And you don't have that with Reece anymore. It's not to say that Reece couldn't do it and can't do it, but I think he shouldn't do it to keep him fit and available. And I think that although that takes away one part of his game, he is so high level in other areas of his game that his contribution, I should say, is still worth having there. So I don't think you can start Cole Palmer on the right side now. I think Pedro Neto needs to be there because he offers us those legs. Yeah? Then you look at the left side. Maybe that's where Cole Palmer might have to go. Or maybe Cole Palmer, Esteval, they might switch up somewhat. I don't know. What does it mean for Madueke? Do we still bring Jamie Gittins in? I'm going to do a transfer news episode tomorrow, hopefully, for you guys. But who knows? Who knows? Yeah, I don't know. But what I do know is man of the match for this one has to go to Caicedo. I thought he was brilliant. I thought Caicedo's always brilliant. I can name him man of the match every week, but I think with the contributions to the 2 goals, especially in extra time, I think you've got to name Caicedo the man of the match. But then that leads me on to the problem, and that is that Caicedo is now suspended for the next game. Now, thank God we are not coming up against a Real Madrid, a Man City, a PSG, someone like that in the quarterfinal, because to not have Caicedo for that fixture could be truly, truly damaging. But regardless, to not have Caicedo for this quarterfinal is something that I'm really, really worried about. Ultimately, Romeo Lavia needs to put in a performance of a lifetime in this match. I would talk about Andre Santos and say Andre Santos. I don't think Andre Santos will be the man tasked with doing it. I don't think he will be. I think in terms of Caicedo, Asuru might do more of a similar job. But what I would do is back Enzo Fernandez and Romeo Lavia to be in there, and then Cucurella to really help out. Just coming across, cutting out those balls like we saw him do yesterday in the lead up to one of the goals. And I think we can just about plaster over the cracks. But Caicedo, not having him there will be a huge, huge miss. Luckily, we've got it out the way now. Hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood, we can come through and then we'll have him there because he is the first name on the team sheet for me. But all in all, a very good night for Chelsea Football Club. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, people. Please smash a like on the video. I will see you all in the next one.